Hi friends, so this is Pavan and I'm from Digital Cutlet and I am the software testing instructor and having around 8+ years of experience into this industry. So here in Digital Cutlet, so we divided the entire software testing program into 6 weeks, which includes both automation as well as manual testing. So, so here goes the syllabus. So this entire 6 weeks, so we learn the manual testing and then programming language, Java, and then Selenium automation tool, and then a TestNG framework, as well as the real-time framework implementation. So let's jump into the week one part. So here, so we learn about the manual testing approach, and so prior to that, so we learn about so what exactly is software, and then what is testing, and how software testing is implemented during the development of a software application, and then what is the importance of software testing, as well as the different approaches to develop the software applications. So there are different approaches there to develop the applications. So those are the waterfall model kind of approach, then V model kind of approach, and then agile scrum framework implementation. So if you look at the software development approach, it has different stages. Like, so we'll have a requirement gathering and analysis, and then a design phase, and then coding, and then test, release, and then maintain the application. So this is a generic implementation of any particular software. So as per the customer requirement, so whether it is a web application or mobile application or a desktop or an API, so so we need to choose a software development approach which fits into your development approach. So we learn about the different approaches, and thereafter, so we learn how exactly once we have a project in hand, so how exactly it is tested. So for that, the companies will follow a standard approach. That approach we call it as software testing lifecycle, or STLC, and then so which involves the different steps in it, so like planning, and then the test scenario identification, and then test case development, and then test execution. And during this process we'll come to know the defects, and when we have the defects, and how to report the defects, what is the exact process to identify the defects and report the defects. So some companies use the Excel sheets, and some companies use the software like Jira or Visual Studio Online or Mantis. Like, we have different tools. So we learn about the Jira tool and the Excel sheet. So how we can maintain the test cases as well as the defect tracking. So once it is done, so we also learn about the different types of software testing that we do in the real time. So we have different types like functional, non-functional, and then black box, white box, gray box, and then smoke, sanity, retest, and regression test, ad hoc, monkey, and then security, installation test. Like this, we have a number of varieties of software testing. So which one we use in the real time? So we'll discuss about the functional testing part of software testing, and then so followed by the Java programming language. So we need a programming language, so we need the object oriented concepts to implement the automation in the testing environment. So for that we required a knowledge of programming language. So as a part of automation, so here we are picking the Java as programming component, and here we'll learn about the Java standard edition, so which comprises of different packages. So core Java, Java standard, both are the same, and it's a Java API. So we learn about different packages available in standard uh, edition of the Java, like java.lang package and java.io package. Like this, we learn about different packages and the classes which are utilized to develop the applications for the automation need. And so we also learn about different features of Java, So like we have standard features of Java, like it's an open source and it's object oriented, and then it's simple, high performance, multi-threaded and robust programming language to do the software development. So by using which we can develop the applications like the window based or console based applications. We can develop web applications and then mobile applications and then APIs as well. So where exactly we fit into this thing, so while doing the automation. And to work with Java, we need to know the basics like the Java keywords. Different keywords are there in Java, so near about 50 keywords are there, right? Just like uh, to learn and write code using Java. Different keywords are like class and then public, static, void, if, else, switch, and then while, do while, for. So like this we have 50, near about 50 keywords. So we learn more than 30 keywords along with their usage and the syntax and practical approach when to use which keyword. And we also learn about different data types to represent the real world data. So the different data types available in Java are like integer type, float type, and then character type. And then we can represent strings by using string class and then boolean data type. So like this we have about 8 data types in Java. So we learn about all the 8 data types and then their sizes, and also we learn about where to store the data by using the variables concept. And then we also learn about different types of variables in Java. Like we have 3 different types of variables in Java, like local, static, and non-static. So we learn in detail about the variables, and then we'll go to the operators. And like any other programming languages like C++ or C hash or Python. So Java programming is also supported by operators. So here the different operators available are like arithmetic operators where we can do the basic computation. So basic mathematical computation like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division modulo. And then relational operators like you can compare the quantities, uh, like less than, greater than, or equals to, less than or equals to, greater than or equals to. And also you can perform the logical operations like doing using the logical operators like and or not. So that's about the operators. And then we'll go to the control statements. So different control statements or conditional control statements. So these allow the programmer to control the piece of code that we have written using this programming language. So here different control statements available in Java are like if, else, and if else ladder, and then switch. So we learn about these control statements, and along with this we also learn about the looping concepts, like the different loops available in Java. So different loops are like while loop, for loop, and then do while loop, advanced for loop. So we learn about these looping statements, and then we learn about the methods. So method. So what is method? So method is basically a block of code which is useful to achieve code reusability. So where we pass in some input, it will process it, and then we'll get the output. So maybe calculating the area of a triangle, or calculating some important functionality, or calculating some interest. So this kind of things we'll do using methods. And then so we also work on the constructors and what is the difference between methods and constructors. And we also learn about different string manipulations. And then so we'll work on the object oriented programming concepts. So like class, so what is class and how we can create a class in Java, and then what we can do with the class and how we represent the object inside the class. So we learn about those concepts. And then the 4 pillars of object-oriented programming, like encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and then interfaces. We learn about these 4 pillars of programming, object-oriented programming. And then we also learn the file handling. So maybe we use the java.io package to work with files, maybe a notepad or Excel sheet, and we'll see how to insert data into your file and how to read the data which is already there in a text file. And then we'll learn about the exception handling, which is one of the important concepts in Java, through which we can track the application errors and then we can improve the code. And then we also work with the collection framework. So different collection framework components are like a list, set, and map interface. So all programming concepts which we are learning are subject to the Java 1.8 version, and we use Eclipse IDE as a platform to write the piece of code using Java. And we also show how to configure the Java into the system, the Windows operating system, and then how to install it and then configure them. And we also show how to set up the environment for the application development. So in the real time, we use the Eclipse IDE as a tool, so which is open source and which is very hands-on. It's a very user-friendly tool. So I'll show you how to download and how to configure it for the automation, script writing, or application development writing. And then so we'll work on the automation part. So what exactly is automation testing, and then what is the importance of automation testing, and how to choose a tool as per your application requirement. So we'll learn about the Selenium open source web application automation tool and different components of Selenium, like Selenium IDE, the WebDriver, and then Selenium Grid. So we'll learn about these three tools. So as of now, the stable release of Selenium is Selenium 3.141.59. So this is the official release. So we'll work on Selenium 3, and if possible, I'll also give you some details about the Selenium 4 as well. So once the completion of the course, and then so we learn how to configure the Selenium, so what exactly it will do, and then what is the WebDriver architecture, and how we can automate different controls available on a web page. Here, the controls are objects in the sense. So when we see a web application, so maybe a Flipkart or maybe a Facebook, so we'll see a lot of objects on that particular applications. Like we have input boxes and links, buttons, radio buttons, check boxes, drop downs, alerts, pop-ups, windows, frames. Like that we have many objects on a web page. So what Selenium exactly will do is it will take the control of the browser, and it will do different operations. And then different operations could be maybe clicking on a link, or selecting a value from the drop down, or accepting or closing a pop-up box. So these are different actions that we can do with the Selenium. So we'll see how to automate these actions. So for automating these actions, Selenium uses a special concept, that is locator. So what we do is we identify the objects based on the locator strategy, and then we'll take the appropriate action. So different locators available are like name, ID, name, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text, XPath, and CSS selector. And we'll also learn the XPath and its internal methods, how to identify a locator, and also CSS selector, and the importance of these two. And then so we learn about different commands to control different actions. Like we have WebDriver commands, maybe the driver.get, so which is used to launch the application, and driver.close, which is used to close the application. So driver.click, to click on a button. So send keys, to enter some text into text box. Like this we have many methods as part of WebDriver API. We learn about them in detail, and then after we also do the handling of drop downs using mouse or actions class, and then we'll work on to select the values from the drop down, and then handling alerts, frames, and windows. And also we'll learn about different interview questions asked, and then followed by the synchronization concept, so which comprises of the implicit and explicit waits. And then so we learn about the framework. So framework is one of the important concepts in automation testing. So there are different frameworks available in the market. So basically frameworks are classified into two types, like test-driven development approach and behavior-driven development approach. So in our course, we are learning about the test-driven development approach. So different programming frameworks are there, like to test the code that we have written using Java programming language like JUnit, and then TestNG is one of the important tool. So we'll work on TestNG framework and how to configure the TestNG framework and what are the features supported by TestNG and different annotations supported by TestNG. And uh, apart from that, so then we'll come to the real-time framework implementation using different tools. So here we learn about different tools like Maven, and we'll work on the Eclipse IDE, and then we'll set up a framework. We'll set up a hybrid framework using the Selenium tool and then page object model design pattern, and we'll use Excel sheet to read and write a data, or we'll use the SQL server to read and write the data. And then so we'll also learn about the continuous integration tool, that is Jenkins, and how we can version control a software using Git and its commands. So this completes the entire software testing program, so both with manual as well as automation. So apart from this, we'll give you and we will learn the question and answer, the questions recently asked in interviews, and then so we'll help you in the preparing of your resume and how to get the interview calls during this time. So that's about the software testing program. So if you have any questions, so please um, let us know, or do call us back to discuss further in details. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.